given the information age that we're in today, people would be able to see symptoms and signs of this well before it actually occurs, and therefore we would be able to put in place response strategies that would help avert crises of this nature. But this is exactly where I believe leadership is going to be critical. You need a few giant and tall leaders who can see the future, who are prepared to show their conviction in the form of actions and deed. And unless we have that, if people are just going to be opportunistic in leadership positions, then I'm afraid they'll ignore the reality of and the very basics of some of these threats that we're likely to face. We've had people like that in the past. I mean, one can count so many of them. Abraham Lincoln was one, and there's so many others. I just don't see too many of those on the horizon today. And I hope awareness on these issues will throw up the right kind of leadership, because that's going to be absolutely critical.
You mentioned there that a change is needed at the top, but also at the bottom as well, a change of culture. How would you see that being brought about? What's needed for that?
I think it has to start with changes in consumer behavior. I think the consumer has to start providing a signal that he or she is not going to buy goods and services which have any link with the underlying reasons that could result in the conflicts of the type that we're discussing. And I think if that happens, then the market will become a great force in bringing about change. Now, this is where I think leadership can make a difference, where if, say, a leader is to advise people to move in a particular direction in terms of their consumption habits and so on, there will be resistance, there will be criticism, but if he or she is able to convince the communities or countries that either of them is responsible for, then I think you will see a shift in consumer behavior. I remember in Bangkok when we released our Working Group 3 report, a reporter at the press conference asked me, the IPCC's talked about the importance of lifestyle changes and changes in behavior as a part of meeting this problem. Can you recommend anything? I said the IPCC doesn't recommend anything, but if you ask my personal opinion, let's start eating less meat. I said, you'll be much healthier and so would the planet. So I think you need shifts of this nature, and people have to sort of catch these issues by the horns and move in that direction. I think there's nothing more important and powerful as a signal going through the market. And I think consumers need to be educated about it. It's like buying an efficient refrigerator, even if it costs a little more, or getting an efficient light bulb, even if it costs a little more, because overall, not only does the consumer benefit, but society as a whole. And I think we need to do that.
Mike Childs of the Friends of the Earth said that we need to depend on humankind's ingenuity to face environmental change. Do you think that humankind's ingenuity will be enough?
Well, that ingenuity is there as a capacity. It has a potential. But are we going to harness that potential? That's the question. And I think if we have to do that, the first thing we need to do is start looking at the truth. Lester Brown, who I have a great deal of respect for, has put it succinctly. He says, communism collapsed because it told lies about the economy, and capitalism could collapse because we're telling lies about the ecology. And I think we have to first understand the reality of the problem. You see a lot of leaders in a state of denial, and if they continue and persevere with that mindset, then I think they would be doing enormous harm not only to the world as a whole, but their own societies. So I think we need to start looking at the reality and uncovering the truth where it really lies. And once we are able to do that, yes, human ingenuity can take over, and it has the potential to be able to find solutions that we're looking for.
Dr. Pachauri, thank you very much.
Thank you.